the path to enlightenment and indispensable to the creation of a just economy and a peaceful global community. I have lots of copies of this at home. If you'd like one, let me know, and you can have it to paste on your refrigerator. I've long been fascinated by how well the arts, music, poetry, screen and stage productions, paintings and sculpture, all of the arts, how well they can help us clarify our thinking, our thoughts, our beliefs, our notions of how to live well, how to live better. And today, as we discard those things that we wish to discard, and think of things new that we want to bring onto our lives, I actually found a piece of paper on my desk the other week that had the things that I wrote down last year for our New Year's resolutions, if you will. My list of to-dos was largely undone. Perhaps some of you did better than I did and finished last year's list and are ready to have a new one today, but I won't ask for a show of hands. My hope this morning is to provide, by looking at two ways of seeing life, to provide a framework, if you will, for this annual ritual, a new basis for making decisions, perhaps a new way of looking at life and how we live it. And to do that, I want to turn to the arts and use a famous play to illustrate this. The play is Man of La Mancha. Any familiar with that? Lots of heads nodding up and down. The guiding precept, as you will know, for that play came from the Spanish philosopher Unamuno, who said, "Only he who attempts the absurd is capable of achieving the impossible." Only one who, to make it less gender inappropriate, only one who attempts the absurd is capable of achieving the impossible. This attitude is represented in the play by the fanciful figure of Don Quixote, whose philosophy in his madness was to look upon life not as it is, but as it should be. For those who've never seen or read the play, here's the plot. It's basically about Miguel de Cervantes, a 16th century playwright of some 40 plays, none of which were very successful until late in his life he wrote Don Quixote. The play Man of La Mancha opens with Cervantes being thrown into prison. The setting is Seville, Spain, late in the 16th century. No sooner is Cervantes put in prison than he's attacked by all the other prisoners. The custom was to set up a mock trial of all new prisoners. The verdict, of course, was predetermined, guilty. The sentence is likewise predetermined, guilty, and having to give up all possessions to the other prisoners. Cervantes, wanting desperately to save a manuscript that was valuable to him, presents in his defense an entertainment for all the other prisoners, involving them all in the antics of the fictional character Don Quixote. Actually, Don Quixote was the assumed name of a country squire who, being retired, spent all of his time reading. In reading, he became oppressed and filled with indignation at people's murderous ways toward one another, until finally he went mad. Or in the more colorful words of the play, he broods and broods and broods, and finally, from so much brooding, his brains dry up. He lays down the melancholy burden of sanity and conceives the strangest project ever imagined, to become a knight and to sally forth into the world to right all wrongs. No longer shall he be the plain country squire, but a dauntless knight known as, the roll of the drums please, Don Quixote of La Mancha. Isn't it interesting to note that the thing that drove the country squire mad was looking at life as it was? Most of us don't remember that we're a privileged minority in having food and clothing and shelter, at least enough to be comfortable. In being educated and having access to the arts, the vast majority of people in the history of the world have not been able to look at life as it is and see that it is good. Most people, even in our country, could probably, many people at least, could say the same. So looking on life as it is transformed Alonso, the country squire, into Don Quixote, a dauntless knight who challenges the bleak and daunting world, the unbearable world, confident that is in his holy endeavor, virtue shall triumph at last. His whole outlook is characterized by seeing life as it should be, not as it is. So I suggest this morning that we do not stop looking when we see life as it is, but keep on looking to see life as it should be. For me, I see that as the framework for trying to figure out what in my life I want to drop aside, and it's usually those things that characterize me when I see life as it is. And when I want new things in my life, it would be characterized by seeing life as I think it should be. Let's move in for a close-up of this way of thinking. And I'll look at two categories. We could look at more, but at least two. One is how we look at other individuals. The other will be how we look at society. To look at other individuals as they should be, rather than as they are, is beautifully illustrated in Man of La Mancha. There is a character by the name of Aldonza, who is a kitchen girl in a wayside inn. She's considered by everyone else, including herself, as a slut and a whore. Everyone else except Don Quixote. He looks upon her as my lady, pure, virtuous, worth dying for, refusing to see in her what she actually is in the eyes of others, but only what she should be. It's tragically comical until the end of the play, when she stands over his dead body saying, "A man died. He seemed a good man, but I did not know him." But Don Quixote is not dead. And when asked about what she meant, she said, "My name is Dulcinea," the name that Don Quixote had given her. She sees herself finally as Don Quixote saw her, as she could be, and she was changed. Quixote having considered her throughout, an individual of unique worth and value, has literally transformed her. William Barclay, who was a Scottish theologian, biblical scholar in the last generation, put it this way: love, we could substitute compassion. Love redeems people by inspiring them to be better than their best. As others who love us do not stop looking when they see us as they are, thank you, Becky, neither are we to stop looking when we see others as they are, but are to look beyond what that is to what they should be and can be, and perhaps if we look upon them that way, they shall be. Let me then turn to looking at society, not as it is, but as it should be. Could it not be that our national life suffers most when we see society and have no vision to see beyond that point to what society should be? You remember, I'm sure, the words of one of the most eloquent dreamers of our lifetime and one of the most influential people in my life, as he spoke of society as it should be. I'll tell you enough of those words just to remind you of them. I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal. I have a dream that one day sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. And on he goes. There are, of course, the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, who was assassinated for his dream many years ago. That dream lives on in the hearts of many, but it has faded from the hearts of many others, because not enough of us share it. That dream, of course, is about racism, one of the major social problems of our day. But it isn't the only one. There's poverty, there's sexual and domestic abuse, there's violence and crime, there's alcohol and drug abuse, there's illiteracy, there's an endless litany of social ills which ought not to be tolerated by those of us who dream of better things. Perhaps here above all we want to draw back and say, preacher, that's idealism. We've got to be realistic. We've got to see life as it is. Cervantes had an answer to that, and here I quote, "I have lived nearly 50 years and I've seen life as it is. Pain, misery, hunger, cruelty beyond belief. I've heard the singing from taverns and the moans from bundles of filth on the streets. I've been a soldier and seen my comrades fall in battle or die more slowly under the lash in Africa. I've held them into my arms at the final moment. These were people who saw life as it was. Yet they died despairing, no glory, no gallant last words. Only their eyes filled with confusion, whimpering the question, why? I do not think they asked why they were dying, but why they had lived." And continuing the quotation with these words that seem so penetrating. "When life itself seems lunatic, who knows where madness lies? Perhaps to be too practical is madness. To surrender dreams, this may be madness. To seek treasure where there is only trash. Too much sanity may be madness. And maddest of all, to see life as it is, and not as it should be." I suggest to you that it is possible that in a new year, that we can stop looking at life as it is and see life as it should be. It may be that those are two ways of looking at life that may be helpful as you ponder what to put down on a piece of paper to burn up, and what you put down on a piece of paper to take home to remember to do in the new year. Linda?
Thank you, Don, that was really inspirational. Great, that was really great. I want to give him a hug, but can we all give him a hug after this?
I'm just getting over a cold, you're my...
I want to begin our ritual today by inviting each of you to locate a pen or pencil and at least one piece of tissue paper, this thin stuff, and one piece of regular paper, and then return to your seats. Don and Ted are going to pass these papers out. They have a few pens. All right, those of you who have the paper, the tissue will be used to write our goodbyes and our good riddances, I'll get it yet, to 2017. So I invite you all into a place of quiet reflection and then write on the paper all of those things you wish to say goodbye to, all those things that you hope you don't ever have to go through again. Tissue paper.
No, that's what we want to do.
No, but you could burn
And does everyone have a sheet of paper? And have you all written something you want to say goodbye to?
Not yet.
Okay.
I was saying, I thought I got one. So you write it down and we're gonna burn it. This is what your plan is. And this is what we're gonna do.
When you are done, I'd like you to please come forward and place the tissue paper in the bowl and let the fire release it. I encourage you to stay and watch your paper burn to completion. Take advantage of the opportunity to grow by letting go, and I'll show you.